We are deep in the midst of the longing, the wait between seasons, and so I thought I'd make a tag video. A video where I have some questions about the Wheel of Time books and show that I'm going to answer, and I'm going to tag some other content creators too. And I've already actually recorded my answers, and I realized that one of the people I want to tag can't watch my video, so I'm going to tag here. I'm going to tag Bodhi from Just Somebody's Opinion. I'm going to tag Rob from Malkier Talks. I'm going to tag Critter from Critter XD, and I'm going to tag Ali and Gus from Will Takes Podcast. And yeah, Ali cannot watch this video because it is full spoilers. And if you have not finished the entire book series, neither can you, because again, full spoilers. I go all the way to the end. But if you have finished the series, you are good to go. So let's get to the questions.
Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy. Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy.
Alright, so getting into this tag, first question I have is about the show. Describe your favorite scene or a favorite scene from the show and explain why it resonates with you so deeply. Now, I've talked about the show an insane amount on my channel, so I don't think I'll be saying anything new here, but the fun of this is that hopefully I'm going to get to hear other people's answers, but I have to give mine first. And because of that, I actually had to reword the question a bit to describe a favorite scene, because I don't have one scene because I can't pick one. The other caveat I'm going to give here is that I'm pretty sure the scene that I say today would not have been the scene if you'd asked me like a week ago. But right now I'm on a bit of a Moraine kick. And so, yeah. I've said it before, but one of the things I am like legitimately, unironically grateful for, like that is the best word to describe it, is for the show centering Moraine in the way that it has. Because Moraine was never the character that I latched onto when I read these books. I always liked her, but she was never in the front of my mind, like, except as to how she related to characters who were in the front of my mind, if that makes any sense. So the show centering her has actually changed my experience of reading the books in a way that I never anticipated. Like, I love these books. I love rereading them, and I'm always picking up something new, but there's diminishing returns, like, if I'm honest, as the years have gone on, because I've just read them so many times. But Moraine's perspective has exploded the story for me in a new way, and I'm seeing new things, and I love it. So I'm going to pick a scene that I have talked about ad nauseum from season 1, episode 7. If you've watched my channel, you probably know the scene.
I like her, you know? The wisdom.
Look, that's just love on her face. Every single time. That scene just gets me. Like, when I watch it in the full context of the episode, it makes me tear up every single time. And even now, I haven't been able to fully unpack why. But I know one of the things that scene does for me is I love the depth of love you can see in that moment. The love that she feels for Lan. How she gives him what she can in that moment. She could probably sense, like, internal conflict that he's experiencing, and so she knows what he needs to give him the freedom that he needs in that moment. It's beautiful. It's heartbreaking, I think. Well, this might be the book reader in me, but I think she knows in this moment that his love for Nynaeve is going to result in her losing him, at least to some degree. And like, as much as I love Lan and Nynaeve together, my heart now breaks for Moraine in a way that it never did before. Like, when I'm reading the books, I look at that and I just think, oh, she's going to lose one of her closest friends. Again, not entirely, but there is going to be a natural separation, and that's going to be hard for her. All right, question 2. Insignificant detail. What is a seemingly minor detail from the books that you secretly hope... secretly. It's not a secret. I want you to tell me. That you hope makes it into the show, even though it might not be crucial to the plot. I think I talked about this early on in my YouTube channel, but you know that really long scene in The Dragon Reborn of Perrin, like, making a knife? Or, I don't know, I can't remember what he makes, but it's pages and pages of incredibly detailed blacksmithing. And I don't know why, but I love that passage. I love seeing Perrin in the zone, so to speak. And I know the time in the show is valuable, so there probably isn't as much time in the show. Like, it's limited, right? So you can't spend pages and pages on him doing blacksmithing, but I would love to see it. And And I think there's a way it could work. Because I think they will likely introduce Fail in season 3, right? So I could see a scene or two of her watching him work and catching feelings. Okay, question 3. Anticipated scene. Looking ahead to next season, which scene are you most eager to see brought to life? So we all know season 3 is mostly book 4. And okay, glass columns, we all know. But you're also watching my channel. So you can probably guess which scene actually edges out the glass columns for me. And yeah, it is the Magi Nynaeve showdown in Tanchico. I know there were people who were frustrated with how Nynaeve was at the end of season 2. And I do get it. She was kind of, what's the opposite of helpful? Like, she dresses up like a Suldam and then nothing she did really helped in the end. And I think some people expected me to be upset about that, but I wasn't. Like, largely because in my head, I was like, oh yeah, they've brought her low so that when she has her big moment of realization in season 3 with Megiddian, it's going to land harder. It's the same way I feel that the Horn moment in the show lands harder, emotionally speaking, than it does in the books, to me, at least. In the books, that moment is cool. It's awesome, even, but it is not an emotional moment when Matt blows the horn. And part of that, of course, is he's not a hero of the horn in the books, but in the show, him being a hero is not the reason that moment is beautiful. Or it's not the only, like, it's an equation, right? Him being the hero works because of the journey that we've seen Matt go through. Put those together and you get this beautiful emotional journey because of how low Matt was, how unsure of himself he'd been. And Nynaeve and Matt, I've said it before, like, I see them as opposite sides of the same coin. They are very, very similar, like the same person. That's why they fight so much. And I fully believe that they are doing the same thing with her. They are building to what is not only going to be an awesome moment, but it's going to have more emotional resonance because of how low she is at the end of season 2. I'm also just excited because I have no idea how they're going to do the fight with Magi. Like, in the books, it is said outright that they are just standing there staring at each other. And I know they probably can't do the thing that I imagine in my head that's, like, so hilarious where, you know, you see all the power and then you pan out and there's somebody just walking by who looks at them and doesn't know why these two ladies are staring at each other. I know that would, like, detract from the tension of the moment. The show is not a Marvel movie, and I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that, in fact. But I can't wait to see how they do it, especially with the direction that they've gone with Megiddian. That's going to be a wild confrontation, and I am so excited. All right, we're going to move away from the show, although I'll probably talk about the show again. But question 4, unconventional warder. If you could choose any character from the books to be your warder, who would it be and why? And it doesn't have to be somebody who's a warder in the books. I've gone with Andrel. He is technically a warder, actually, at the end, but I picked him because I was thinking, what would I need a warder for in my life? And the first thing I thought of was translation and helping me deal with situations where I can't communicate here in Korea. Like, I do speak Korean, but I'm not fluent by any stretch of the imagination. And there are moments that are awkward and irritating. And Andrel is the only person in the books who seems to have learned another language during his lifetime. Except for all the people who learned the Old Tongue, which I'm not counting because with the exception of the Forsaken, none of whom I would want for a warder, the rest of them would have learned the Old Tongue as a dead language, and I don't think that's good for communication. So, yeah, I think Andrel would be able to learn Korean well, and so he could help me out in those situations. He'd probably never be needed to protect me from physical violence, because that's just not something I deal with really in my life, but he could definitely protect me from certain nonsense at work. He is very personable. He's an excellent conversationalist. And I can think of one coworker I have who annoys me that I could have Andrel run interference with. And, like, when people start asking invasive personal questions, he could, I don't know, come in and start talking about leather work or something. Oh, and his gateways. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't think of his gateways until just now. His gateways would be so useful. I'd be going to every single Wheel of Time convention, making WoTCon, JordanCon, my Kiri... Oh, no, KiriCon. Now I'm just sad I don't have a warder. Damn it. All right. On that downer, let's move on to question 5. Personal headcanon. Share a headcanon you have about the Wheel of Time world or its characters. It can be a theory, an interpretation, or a fun what-if scenario. And the one I'm going to talk about now is probably not my most interesting or intricate headcanon, but it's a new theory that I came up with recently just based on a show. And, oh, I'm now realizing the spoiler level I'm going to have to put at the beginning of this. I just talked about Andrel, too. Okay. Pretty heavy, but this was a much heavier spoiler than Andrew. Like, this is big. If you've gotten this far in the video and you haven't read as far as The Gathering Storm, go away. Bye-bye. Go, 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 go. Okay, this is serious. This is a very big spoiler, all right? My headcanon is about Varen. Okay. Now, in the books, it's never quite revealed how Varen became a dark friend or whatever. We just know it's due to a mistake that she made. And I love that mystery. I'm kind of glad the books don't ever tell us how it happened. But the show gave me like a vague idea of how it could have happened. Because of Min. Min in the show ends up doing the bidding of one of the Forsaken. That Forsaken, actually. I don't think Min in the show is a dark friend, but she made a series of mistakes that resulted in her literally doing the bidding of a Forsaken. That's pretty dark friendly. So, my new headcanon is that, much like Min, a younger, more naive Varen trusted the wrong person and ended up promising to do some things. And then, like, here's where the difference between her and Min makes this more serious. Varen is an Aes Sedai. She has taken oaths. If she promises something, she can't not do it. I could see a situation where she promises something or promises to keep secrets or whatever, not realizing the consequences, and just ends up getting pulled into a situation that she can't get out of as a result of, of her oaths, I should say. She can't, like Min did, sort of change her mind midway through and kind of break the confidence, break her promise. I mean, Min actually did the thing, but she also revealed the secret, whatever. Basically, my headcanon is that Varen's oaths forced her to go through with things that she didn't want to, and then things snowballed until it was either take new oaths to the Dark One or die. Now, because I was making these questions, my answer to question 5 sort of led me into what I was thinking of for question 6, which is unpopular opinion. Do you have an unpopular opinion about the Wheel of Time? And if so, share it, and let's spark a friendly debate. Friendly! I said friendly debate. I have a couple of unpopular opinions, probably more than a couple, depending on who you ask. My unpopular opinion about the Aiel, I made a whole video about, and that video has gotten some very, very angry, weirdly personal, angry, like, people got personally upset, and I had some personal attacks on the comments of that video. People really were upset about that, but okay. Because when I was making these questions, I had been thinking about Varen, and that new sort of, it's a very vague headcanon, but it's the headcanon nonetheless. It got me thinking about, well, this thing that I'm going to say is my unpopular opinion, I think. I do not like the Aes Sedai oaths. I think that they cause way more problems than they solve. And I'm not even going to get into the whole, like, the Ashaman versus the Aes Sedai. Like, I doubt the Ashaman are going to tie their hands the way the Aes Sedai do. I very much so. And I find it wild that people will insist that the Wheel of Time is a matriarchy when it's a world where the main magical women in the world were forced to hamstring themselves in order for the world to accept their existence. But specifically, the oath to speak no word that is not true. It is such a dumb oath. First of all, obviously, it is so badly worded that the Aes Sedai lie all the damn time just by being clever with their words. But also, it means you can never change your mind about anything that you've said you would do. Which, like, I guess does mean that people will trust you when you promise something, but it also means you can't change your actions based on new information. The oaths will compel you to go through with what you said because your words must always be true. Like, let's say you promise to bring someone some medicine, okay? And then you find out that they are going to use the medicine to poison someone. Can you just go, well, yeah, I'm not going to do this thing I promised? Because that means your words aren't true anymore. Like, that's the sort of thing that I think happened to Varen. She promised something, probably also promised to keep it secret because, whatever reason. And then she couldn't change her mind despite the consequences. And it's those consequences that cause things to get worse and worse. These oaths are dumb. I can't believe the Aes Sedai agreed to them, and I hope they eventually just stop. Like, even without the whole, they live longer without the oaths thing, I hope they stop, because they cause more problems than they solve, which I think actually makes sense. Given that, okay, tell me if I'm wrong about this. I'm pretty sure I have this history right. I think it was Arthur Hawkwing who made them take the oaths, right? Because it basically, that was I think it was something to do with Arthur Hawkwing, which, if that's the case, Arthur Hawkwing made them take the oaths because he hated the Aes Sedai. And the reason he hated the Aes Sedai was because of Ishi. And Ishi made that happen because Ishi was trying to fuck with the world. So the O's have their foundation in fuckery. All right, next question. Shocking twist. Which plot twist or reveal in the story caught you completely off guard and left you speechless? Now, there are so many, but I think I have to go with... Ooh, okay, this video is going to be full spoilers. All right, all right. I got to go with the horn, with Matt not sounding the horn in the last battle. The horn not being tied to him. That blew my mind. Like, I never questioned Matt being tied to the horn, even though all the info was there for me to figure it out. In fact, it's literally a part of one of my favorite quotes in the books. When Matt meets the foxes or the snake, I don't know which one. Whichever ones tell him that his fate is to die and live again. And, go Doroidion, son of battles, go, gambler, go. Like, that is one of my favorite scenes in the entire series. And yet, it never occurred to me that he died. So he's not tied to the horn anymore. And I do think the reason I missed it is because his death occurs after Moraine's death. And I've talked about this before. I kind of wish that those things had happened in opposite orders, like the Moraine death and the Ravine battle and all that had happened in opposite orders. Now, I do know I have talked to Bree and Allie about this, and they've both talked about it in different contexts. They're both writers, and they have given their explanations of why they think it should have happened in the order that it did, and okay. But I just know that my experience of reading this story is always, even now, when I know how everything played out, Moraine goes through the door, and then my brain just goes to static. And it's just like, I don't really take in what happens after that, because Moraine going through the door is an emotional beat. And that's all I can think about. So I miss this. And it's, anyway, yeah, he's not tied to the horn, and I missed it. Side note, I talked about this ages ago, but it's been years, so I'll tell this again. A couple of years back, I was in the shower. I was washing my hair, and I had the thought, oh, it's so cool that Fail got to blow the horn. It's a perfect end to her story. And then I froze in the shower. Like, my hands in my hair, I froze because, sure, somebody's about to type this down. That's not what happened. Like, I had dreamed it. Because my brain is broken. I occasionally sometimes dream about the Wheel of Time, because, whatever. I had a dream where Fail was the one to blow the horn in the last battle. And I stood there in the shower thinking, holy fuck, that would have been amazing. Like, Fail comes into the story as a hunter for the horn. It would have been a perfect circle for her arc if she had been the one to be the horn sounder in the last battle. But no, it's Oliver. And, like, Oliver's fine and all, but I don't think it's a coincidence that his name is Oliver. Like, he's cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch. He's a cute kid brought in the latter seasons to try and boost ratings. He's fine. I like him well enough, but Fail is more. Fail's more. Like, she's just more. She's a more three-dimensional character to me. And so I kind of wish that this thing that had happened in a dream had been real. Anyway, all of this to say, this twist got me. Like, like those magicians that will distract you from the trick, but like the trick is happening here, but they're doing all sorts of stuff over here, so you don't see the trick. That's how I feel now when I read. The info was all there, and if I had just looked, I would have seen it, but I was too busy watching everything else, and I missed it. It was well done. It's one of the most satisfying surprises I've ever had with a story. All right, next question. Favorite Forsaken? I'm sure this has been talked about before, but I'm still going to talk about it because I feel a little defensive about my choice, to be honest. Like, until joining the fandom, I didn't actually have a favorite Forsaken because, I don't know, I just never thought about it. But when I would hear people start talking about ranking their favorite Forsaken or the favorite Forsaken that they hate the most or they like that whatever, I would find myself getting defensive about, okay, my favorite Forsaken, Megiddian. And I realized that because I found myself feeling like I wanted to defend her all the time. Because people tend to look down on her. Not just in the books, like in the fandom, everyone looks down on her. Yeah, but until Brandon Sanderson's recent reveal about Lanfear, I still contend she was in the best position of all the remaining Forsaken at the end of the books. Like, obviously now Lanfear's way up here and Megiddian's here and then everybody else, down here. But yeah, I know she was collared, but I truly believe that she can escape. And I don't even think it will be hard. She's just got to lay low for a little bit and then I'm not going to get into it because it always turns into a whole thing. And no one ever actually listens to the details of my idea how she's escaped. They're just like, they'll literally argue against it with things that I pointed out in my whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But okay. Sorry, now I'm getting offensive about my escape plan for Maggette. Anyway, whatever. I think she's a good villain. But more than that, I think she's a perfect foil for Nynaeve because Nynaeve is so impulsive. She's all leap and no look, whereas Moggy is all look. Seriously, one of my favorite Moggy moments is during the cleansing, where she shows up and she sees all the power being channeled and all that chaos, and she just watches. She hides and watches because she knows no one will ever know she participated. It's iconic. It's one of the funniest things in the entire series. I love her. I find her fascinating. She does do some impulsive things. Two that I can think of, but one of them gets her collared by Nynaeve, and the second one she basically helps Nynaeve break her block. Whatever. So impulsivity does not work out well for her. But whatever. I find her fascinating, and I love the direction they've taken with her in the show. Like, this is not at all how I envisioned Maggette. The Maggette in my head is slow and steady and methodical. This Moggy, she seems unhinged. Like, the little we've seen of her so far anyway, and I'm intrigued by this choice, and I cannot wait to see it. All right, next question. Character in the modern world. Imagine your favorite character from the Wheel of Time living in the world today. What career path would they have chosen, and what kind of life would they be leading? All right, so this question made its way onto this list because of something that happened recently. There was a bit of a dust-up in, I don't know what it's called, Senate? Congress? I don't know, I'm not American. But okay, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I think a politician I rather like, got upset when another politician made some rude remarks about someone's appearance, and, well, this happened.
That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your feelings hurt?
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play.
Baby girl?
I had forgotten that AOC was from New York until I watched this. It was like, oh shit! Yeah, she's from the Bronx! That's awesome! And, okay, because my brain is broken, like, as I said, I'm dreaming about the Wheel of Time, whatever. Apparently everything I encounter is viewed through the lens of the Wheel of Time, because the next thought I had was, oh, that would totally be Nynaeve in that situation. And the more I thought about it, the more true it became. Like, it's not that I think Nynaeve would want to be in politics. In fact, I think she would probably want to avoid it. But much like at the very beginning of the story, she's a wisdom. Which is, don't forget, that's the female counter to the mayor. That's a political position. And she got it because she was good at her job. I could see Nynaeve in the real world getting a reputation for just being the person who gets shit done. And people like around her recognizing that and rallying behind her, whether they like her as a person or not, because they know that she will fight for them and she will take care of them. And the momentum of that ending up almost through no fault of her own with her in a position of some political power. But I can also imagine in that situation, her just being chaos in Parliament, or whatever the correct term is in the US, I don't know, whatever Parliament is there. But yeah, someone like in Parliament, or whatever, says something stupid about like vaccines or whatever, and she just pulls out, oh, baby girl, or, like, oh, you bull-headed idiot, or like whatever. I don't know. It would be awesome. All right, this is the final question before I tag some other content creators. Basically, nerd out. Taking a break from the Wheel of Time, nerd out about something not related to the Wheel of Time. I am going to nerd out about Moana. There's a trailer out now for Moana 2, and I had no idea there was going to be a sequel. Probably won't be as good as the first one, but I'm excited about it nonetheless. I loved Moana so much. I have seen it multiple times in both English and Korean. I have the soundtrack in both languages too. I cried when I saw it in the theater first time, like multiple times. First tears I cried were when I was like watching it, and I suddenly had this thought, oh my God, my nieces are going to get to see this. They're going to get to watch a Disney movie with a brown hero. Like, oh, it was beautiful. But the story, I just love the story, especially how it resolves at the end. Like, it's just, I'm trying to think how to say this with all the nuance that I'm feeling in my brain. I know that, like, compassion, kindness, empathy, I know these are human traits, right? They're not feminine traits. And I know that power and aggression and physical prowess, these are not masculine traits. They are all human traits. But I think if we're honest, we all know which traits are typically associated with whichever gender. And I know, like, again, if we're honest, we know which traits are typically seen as heroic, as being able to save or change the world. But Moana, she saves the day with empathy. Like, it's her compassion and empathy that win in the end. The story sets it up so you think it's going to be her using her physical prowess, like the skills she has spent the movie learning, but that's not how she wins. And I don't know, I've just rarely seen empathy, not only empathy, like, it's not empathy as a side trait to something, like, no, it is her empathy that is being portrayed as heroic in that moment, and it is as a quality that can save the world, and I just love that about Moana. Anyway, that's it. So now I'm going to tag some other Wheel of Time creators. I'm going to tag Bodhi from Just Somebody's Opinion, Ali and Gus from Real Takes. I'm realizing as I say this, Ali can't watch this video, so I'm going to tag her at the beginning too. I'm also going to tag Rob from Malkier Talks and Critter from Critter XD. And you, let me know your thoughts on these questions, which I will put in the description below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like my content and you want to support me, I do have a Patreon that is also linked in the description below. To my patrons, as always, thank you so much. Your support, you literally keep the lights on. That is not hyperbole. That is just a fact. These lights are on because of you. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. And with that, I am going to end this here. So please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.